Can you see it now? Yes, ma'am. So basically, this is the Swagger API that is offered by OpenAPI specification. So we have multiple requests which will be automatically configured by this URL. So basically, whenever we are just going into so yes, ma'am. So whenever we are going into any, we are adding any app. So this is automatically configured in the main app of ours in the URLs, and it will automatically browse for the URLs in the main app, and it will automatically integrate every URL path, ma'am, into the API. So this is, for example, since this is auth, so I will show you the auth API here. So if you see API slash v1 slash, and I will go to the user API here. So we see the auth here. So this will be the one where it is this one. So this will be the one which is responsible for this login, sign up and stuff. So if you see this, I will just log in and I will show you. Like this is the parameters that is to be given while operating on it, and this is the response that we get. So basically, this works on the request serializer and response serializer. So by default, this serializer is configured for the response as well. But for some views, since we are having different responses, our own responses, so what I made was I made something called a file called response serializers, wherein I just define the serializers in a generic way so that it will be useful for the documentation. So if you see this login response, so I have something called login response serializer, where user is a user serializer field which is inherited from the user serializer over here. Just give me a second. Over here, and when you go to the token serializer, this is a normal character field that we get, and this is also the refresh token, and the role serializer goes down to the same inheritance of role serializer which is defined here. And coming to the next serializer, this is hash profile is a boolean field. So the reason why I am defining is, by default this open API will automatically go to the root of particular views, say this login itself. So this is the login, right? So by default it will automatically generate the user serializer. I mean, whatever serializer we are going to use for this, as in this case this will be a custom path serializer. If I comment this code right here, I will show you like what is the change that happens here. So if I go to login here, you will see this response and request will be the same. So, but this will make our documentation a bit more mess because we are having a custom response. So if I'm going to uncomment it, so here will be a set of responses. Say if the user is logged in successfully, it will be a 201. I mean 200, actually it's 200, and if it is like unauthorized, it will be 401. So these kind of steps will be automatic, and if you want to go for 400 also, you can go for bad request. So these requests can be configured. So I'll just reload the page, and you will be able to see the what are the messages that will be coming. So let me just run this quick. So to try it out, we can just go click on try it out. So this is let me just change to my test database here so that it will be easy. So yes, ma'am. So this is the test user that I'm having that I created. So once I execute it, so it will give me the response. This is a response body that we get. So this documentation is for reference to the front end people, so that they can be easily able to transcribe the data. So if you see this is like the message that they got, and it is having the message here. And when you go to the user data, so the user data has user, so which will be this thing, the whole thing that they get. And the role they get, this is also the role they get. So the role is described here. And when it comes to refresh token and access token, so token and refresh token and as profile, so this is a example of a field which is open to all. Say they don't need any authentication for any token based authentication or something like that. So let me just illustrate the token based authentication right now. So let me just grab onto this token. So what I will do is I will create a profile for this particular user. So what I will do is I will just go to the user, the same API, which is having users slash. This is let me take the me endpoint itself. So let me just try it out. So this me endpoint will accept a JWT token. So what I will do is I will just authorize it. using this. And what I'll do is I will just try it out and execute. So this is the user response that we get. So basically the user is fetched successfully. Since we gave the JWT token, so it will automatically authorize, because there is this parameter in the settings that is configured, not views, wherein the me endpoint has certain parameters to take. Yes. So this requires a permission class to be authenticated. So if that particular authentication class is required, it is necessary for the users to provide this authentication. What if I log out and try it? So basically, if I'm going to execute it, this will give me the detail that authentication credentials are not provided. So let me just log on again. So here it, and I'll just post it and I'll authorize it. Once it is authorized, he or she can execute it, so that we can get the idea of what exactly will be executed and how we will be getting it. So this is the architecture that I followed. So yeah, so coming to the response serializer, so since we need a more clearer documentation, so we are not, we can't afford to have the documentation of what to say the same serializers as well. So that is why, ma'am, I just created something called response serializers, wherein it will be a normal serializer only. We are not using it anywhere, but only for documentation. So for example, if I want to create something called, say, even right now, I will just do it and say, so right now if you see this response, this me response has something called roles. In the role data, there are many things, say the name and scopes. But if you see this response here, it is only mentioned as an integer field. So what if I want to just customize it as I want? So what I will do is I will just write something called me serializer, me response, or some name. So me response serializer, and I'll just take it off. Yes, ma'am. So since the data here, we have to. The thing is, ma'am, like right now for the documentation, since we are customizing it, so we need to look up for the what exactly it is given, so that it will be easy for the people to just transcribe. Here there is something called message here. So what I will do is I will also add something called message. So it will be serializers dot car field, uh, car field, and yes, ma'am. So this will automatically return everything. So modified date, there is this modified date, and these come as a part of this role, and hash profile. So this is the response that we get from the me response serializer. So what I will do is I will just go to this user serializer. I will go to that endpoint called me, where not user serializer, user views. I will go to that me endpoint here. Uh, yeah, here is a me endpoint. So before this action decorator, I would like to add something called the decorator, which is provided by the OpenAPI itself. So just give me a second. I forgot. Yes, it's here. So I'll just go to the import statements here. I'll just import it, and yes, ma'am. So what I will do is I will annotate this action with this then. So user, this will be the description will be user fetched successfully, and another response is the 4 not this is 200, since we are just giving it off in a perfect way. So this is 200, and another possible way is 401, and another possible way is 400, which is a bad request. I mean, it will be like I'll provide a default response message dot uh, user details dot value. So this is the response I give for 400. So as far as a schema is concerned, this is where the response serializers come. So what I will do is I'll import the serializer that I created. So user API dot. So once I provide the schema as,
Ma'am, is there an issue with the audio?
Ma'am, I went on a mute, I guess. Yes, ma'am. So since we customize the response here, so this is the message that we get: user data, role data, and hash profile. So these are the things that will be coming. So let me just try it out again. What I will do is I'll log in with the user, the same user. So I got the user details here. So let me just copy the token. Let me go to this simple endpoint. Uh, Once I authorize it, I will just switch the user, execute it. So now the response body will match. So this is like for documentation purposes. Ma'am, I plan to include this response serializer, so that we are not going to use this serializer anywhere, but just for documentation purposes, so that it will be easy for us. So coming to this is how the Swagger UI works. So coming to the documentation, so there is this called redoc, wherein it will automatically provide the documentation version of the stuff. So basically, if you want to generate documentation, like if I want to download this, so this will be like in any format. And if we want to explore the documentation alone, and if we don't want to try it out, and we just want to see only the payload and the response that we get, so we can use the redocs. So it is like used in many things. Like it will automatically take the URL routes and it will automatically configure for it. So yes, ma'am. Ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Nothing as of now, ma'am.